108 years. The good Lord saw fit to let me walk this earth exactly 108 years. I've outlived 2 world wars that shook the very foundation of humanity. I still remember being a child, huddled under a blackout curtain while the sirens wailed outside my window in the 1930s and then again in the 40s, watching my neighbors send their sons off to battle and praying they would return. I've seen a human being step onto the moon and leave footprints in ancient dust, and now I carry in my pocket a small miracle of glass and metal that lets me see and hear my great-great-grandchildren in the moment they are born, things I could not have imagined when I was a girl. In all those long decades, I've seen more foolishness than can be found in a barn full of monkeys, but nothing quite so obstinate and wrong-headed as the endless, confusing advice people have been given about what we should eat and what we should avoid. My name is Evelyn Grace. Friends and family have called me Evie for so long that it feels like my true name. Let me speak plainly and from the heart. Every doctor who ever sat me down and warned me about cholesterol has crossed over to eternity. Every single one. They would arrive with their polished diplomas and their stiff white coats and their clipboards full of new rules and new pills and new prohibitions. Half of what they said was just plain nonsense, bought and paid for by companies whose living depends on convincing you to buy their shiny boxes of processed junk. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to push a fad or a diet book. I'm here to speak the old quiet truth, the kind of truth that was whispered by great-grandmothers while kneading bread or darning stockings in the firelight. The truth that doesn't need a commercial break or a fancy label. This isn't about spending $100 a month on powders you can't pronounce or starving yourself of entire food groups because one university study with a small handful of volunteers said it might be bad. It's about returning to the foods our Creator put here from the beginning, the foods that grow from sunlight, rain, and good earth. I have eaten 7 things sincerely, faithfully, and gladly my entire life. 7 simple, honest foods. These are the reason I'm still here on this weathered porch swing, rocking gently with a cup of coffee in my hand, telling you this story on a morning somewhere in the year 2026. Let us begin together with the one food that makes the young nutritionists squirm and reach for their charts. Coffee. Strong black coffee. Hot enough to revive the dead and bold enough to face whatever the day brings. I have poured myself a cup every single morning since I was about 16 years old. I can still see myself sitting on the back steps of the old farmhouse with my father while the first light was just breaking over the hills and the mist lay thick and low across the fields. We would share a pot of his strongest brew, the kind that could stand a spoon up in it, and we would talk about the day ahead, the work to be done, the hopes to keep. They've been screaming for decades that coffee is going to give you a heart attack, raise your blood pressure, and make your hands shake. Child, please. The only thing that will truly kill you is spending your nights awake, worrying about every new study, every new warning, every new scare headline. Coffee is a gentle friend. It clears away the fog. It is filled with antioxidants, those small protectors scientists only recently learned to name properly. The aroma alone is God's sweet good morning whisper. Get up, child. There's still work to be done and joy to be found. I drink it black. No sugar, no artificial cream that tastes like sweet plastic. That is a devil's convenience. Just honest black coffee. Hot, clear, and true. Nothing more, nothing less. Number 2 is what I lovingly call God's little candies. Berries, all kinds of berries. blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, whatever the season brings. When I was a girl, my cousins and sisters and I would run out behind the old house into the wild brambly fields, picking until our fingers were purple and our pinafores looked like we had rolled in rainbow paint. We would eat as many as our pails would hold and still bring home enough for mothers to preserve for winter. These days, I buy them from the market or the farm stand, but I eat a good handful every single day. They are sweet, but not the empty, jittery sugar that burns through you and leaves you hollow. Berries are packed with polyphenols, the very colors that give them their deep jewel tones. My daddy used to say, God rest his soul, the medicine is in the color, and he spoke the truth. Those vivid pigments protect the fruit from the sun, from the bugs, from the weather, and when you eat them, they protect you too. They calm the slow smoldering inflammation that builds up inside us all as years accumulate. Bright colors on your plate make for a brighter, healthier, more hopeful tomorrow in your body. Number 3 comes from the great waters of the sea and the rivers, fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, herring, the oil-rich ones. When I was a child, fresh salmon was a rare luxury, but canned sardines came regularly, and we ate every bit, bones and all, right on a cracker with a thin slice of sharp raw onion. My husband Samuel, God rest his soul, would grin and call it poor man's lunch, and I would always say, rich man's medicine. Your brain is mostly fat, and it needs good, clean fat to run true and strong. The omega 3S, EPA, and DHA are like the finest engine oil for the 3-pound miracle inside your skull. They keep the thought gears from grinding, keep the memories bright and clear, keep the night shades of sadness and fog from settling in too deeply. People fret about mercury. I say fret more about a mind that can no longer recall the sound of its own child's laughter, the smell of bread baking, the touch of a hand held long ago. I'll take the fish. Thank you very much. Number 4 is the food they lied about most stubbornly for longest, the whole egg, white, and yolk together. For 50 years and more, they terrified generations away from the most perfect single food the Lord ever wrapped in a shell. The yolk will clog your arteries, they proclaimed. Heart attacks are coming for you. Pure foolishness. The yolk is the very heart of the treasure. Choline for your brain, lutein to protect your eyes, good fats, vitamins, minerals, all wrapped in one perfect little oval. I eat 2 eggs nearly every morning, fried in a cast iron skillet with a little salt and a bit of bacon grease or butter, and my heart keeps a steady beat after more than a century. Thank the Lord for his good gifts. Number 5, and this one always sends a young person into a startled gasp: red meat. Good, honest red meat from animals that live real lives, grazing on grass under open sky. They've been telling us for years that it is poison, that it will steal your years away. Wrong again. Your body was built to embrace what's in red meat. Heme iron that flows swiftly into your blood, vitamin B12 that keeps the nerves wrapped and healthy, carnitine that lets your muscles use fuel cleanly. When you feel weak, drained, and faded, it's not always just old age. Sometimes it's because you've been surviving on skinless chicken breasts and limp salads. A thick steak from a pasture-raised cow is the sunlight, the rain, the soil turned into strength you can eat. It's simple, it's beautiful, it's true. Number 6 is quieter and more humble, but powerful nonetheless. Fermented foods. We didn't use the lab word when I was young. We called them sauerkraut, pickles, buttermilk, homemade yogurt, and later kimchi when the new neighbors from across the way brought their recipes. These are living foods, teeming with good bacteria. Your gut is a garden, and just like any good garden, it needs the right neighbors living in it. If it's only weeds and emptiness, sickness finds an open door. A spoonful of sauerkraut, a glass of tangy buttermilk, or a crunchy good pickle bring the good workers back. They keep digestion peaceful, your immune system watchful, and your mood steadier than you'd expect. A content gut helps make a contented life. Hold that truth close to your heart. And number 7 is my tiny private secret, my morning comfort, raw cacao. Not the sugary chocolate bars you grab at the counter. I mean the pure, bitter, dark powder that tastes like earth, like mystery, and a little bit of heaven. I stir a generous teaspoon into my black coffee every single morning. It contains remarkable compounds, including one called PQQ, that signal to your cells to create new mitochondria, those tiny spark plugs that power every bit of you. At my age, those engines begin to wear out. A little raw cacao gives them fresh fire. It wakes up the mind, puts a quiet, warm glow back into the veins. It's the most delightful secret I know. So there you have it. Black coffee, berries, fatty fish, whole eggs, good red meat, fermented foods, and raw cacao. 7 true foods. No expensive fads, no complicated charts, no starvation, no gimmicks, just the opposite of most everything they've sold us for decades. These are the things that built me, healed me, carried me through wars and weddings, births and grief, all the way to this peaceful morning on my old porch. But listen close now, because here is the deepest truth. Food is fuel, but it isn't the engine. The engine is your spirit. You can eat all these perfect things I've told you about, but if your heart is full to bursting with bitterness, if you spend your days rechewing old wounds, if you've forgotten how to laugh when life is heavy, it will not be enough. You must have a reason to open your eyes in the morning. You must have somebody to love. You must believe goodness is still out there waiting to be found. Forgive people even when they have not asked for forgiveness. Laugh until your sides ache, especially on the dark days. Sit on a porch sometimes and watch the sun paint pinks and golds across the sky as it leaves. Tell the Lord thank you for one morning, for one breath, for one chance. Do all that and then enjoy your eggs, your coffee, and your berries. You just might find you've outlasted every prediction. Now, if you'll excuse me, my coffee is cooling, and this morning is too beautiful to waste inside. Thank you for listening to an old woman's long, rambling tale. May you live long, stay strong, and never forget the simplest truths are almost always the truest ones.